Okay, folks, it's time for another version of Sleeve Snapshot Paddle Reviews. This week we have the Sleeping Rose by the Pretty Pickleball Company. Now, when we talk about developing a brand, I've talked extensively throughout reviews. You can either take really two routes. You can go after the pro scene and try and get people to play your paddles, or you can build a culture around your particular brand by having a theme, having a style, whatever it happens to be, but captivating your audience so they have an attachment, so they have a buy-in to what you're doing. And Pretty Pickleball Company has done that. They've really gone all in on what they're trying to do. And this is the Sleeping Rose. They have different models up here, as you can see. Kind of a play off the princess world out there. If you don't like pink, you can have the blue side, the grip, and again, beautiful paddle. And as you can see from some of the pictures, they have built a culture around what they are doing, with apparel, with balls, accessories, and of course, their paddles. Now, again, this might not be your cup of tea, but the idea behind this is they are committed to something that is a culture-based reality for people. People get attached to products because they gravitate towards a particular style or a particular theme. And I've reviewed a bunch of different companies, and I've said Bread and Butter does it as well as anybody. And there's some others out there that are doing it and kind of following some of their leads. And this is a company that has really gone after a particular marketplace. And they're all in. And so if this is something that appeals to you, I suggest you take a look at what they're doing. This paddle is fine for 90% of the people that play pickleball. I played in various groups, and most people are playing with things that are way, way over their head as far as technology goes, and they don't know how to use. This paddle you can reset, you can dink, you can spin. You can see the specs here if you need all the specs. It's got a long enough grip for the two. It's got a beautiful pink grip. It's got all the details you would want in something that you would invest your money in. So check them out. Check out the rest of their paddle selection. Obviously, check out their accessories and their apparel. And take a look and see if this is something that might be up your alley or for someone else you know. Paddle is absolutely fine for what we're doing out there, unless you're, a 4.5 and up. You could still play with something like this and whoop most people's butts. But go out there and have fun and represent what you want to be out on the court. And if this is something that you're looking for, that kind of brings out your personality and makes you feel good about playing a little bit more, hey, go for it. All right, Pretty Pickleball Company. Stay tuned for the interview of the founder and the owner, Karen. We talk about all the designs, how she came up with this, and where she hopes to take it. All right, folks, let's get to that interview with Karen. All right, folks, we have Karen from the Pretty Pickleball Company. Welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You've done something pretty cool, and we're going to get into, obviously, what's in the background and your company and how it came to be. But I always start with the basic question because all roads basically start here, and that is, how did this goofy wiffle ball game capture your heart?
So it's funny because I have been hearing about pickleball for years. And I didn't really pay it much mind until kind of when COVID hit. And then everybody started talking about it. And even in our community that I live in, the issue there was between the tennis players and the pickleball players. And are we going to permanently line the tennis courts? Are we going to overlay 4 courts? So that was a huge discussion within the community. And I finally said, okay, that's it. I need to know what this game is. And one of our friends had started playing it pretty religiously. So he was like, come up to the courts, watch. So while I was up there, I saw a couple of my other friends, and one of my friends, Cheryl, offered to teach me how to play. So I went up on a Saturday morning and I put on all my gear, and she had a paddle and everything for me, and I really had a good time. I wouldn't consider myself the most athletic person in the world, so I really loved that I could still feel like I was getting a great workout in. But I think I had a really great workout, and I was doing something and excelling at it because I've never been like a huge athlete. I mean, I played the
Yeah.
sports when I was younger, but
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's very accessible to get into the game and go, oh, I can at least make the ball go back and forth and move my feet. And obviously the court's not gigantic like a tennis court, and the ball's not nearly
exactly.
as bouncy. So I know we all don't look ridiculous generally when we start if we have a little bit of background from anything. Even those folks who've never played a ball sport, they actually pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, kind of a similar story to a lot of us. We've heard about the game. My wife taught it in PE 20 years ago and mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh, that sounds cute. And then kind of put it in the back, and now I'm thinking like, God, if I would have just started 20 years ago.
Could have been pro, right?
Yeah, or my knees would be shot. Either one. So, I mean, obviously, I probably interviewed 60, 70 people on this channel. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, and I say the same thing for those who've watched my interviews is like, it's one thing to kind of jump into this sport and really get into it and play all the time. And, you have your groups and, your pickleball partners, but it's another thing to go and, add to the marketplace and go, there's something missing here. And I am going to develop something, and I am going to put my effort into it and my money into it and, my reputation into this and create something like you have done. So, walk me through that step because that is an enormous step to go. I'm going all in on this on some level. So the Pretty Pickleball Company, and obviously you have a lot of the gear and merch in the background. So walk me through the genesis of I'm going to really get into this.
So my husband's always saying less is more, but I have a very entrepreneurial mindset, and I always
Yeah.
am thinking, in different ways. So when I got into pickleball and I started looking for a paddle for my own, I would go into, the Dick's Sporting Goods and other sporting
Yeah.
goods stores, and I'm looking at walls full of just plain black paddles. And I was like, where's all the pretty stuff? I'm a girly girl. So I wanted something that was pretty. Um, a lot of the stuff I saw had crazy, like 80s graphics on it. And now,
Right.
again, this was several years ago because this has been several years in the making. Right now, there's a lot more beautiful paddles out there. So a lot of people figured out that they needed something more feminine for the women out there. So kudos to all the brands that jumped in and did that. So as I started to kind of develop this, it was a learning curve because I had never manufactured my own product before. So I had to kind of
Wow.
go through a learning, like where do I even learn about the technology of pickleball paddles? And so I spent a lot of time doing research and learning and testing things out and getting samples. And I kind of knew what designs I wanted to put on them. I knew I wanted something pretty. Growing up in Florida, I was a big theme park junkie. I
Sure.
passed
Sure.
that love on to my kids. So when we decided to kind of jump into this, and I had already named the company the Pretty Pickleball Company, my daughter was like, well, what about princess themes? Like, why don't we do something really girly? You're already calling yourself the
Yeah.
pickleball princess. So why don't you lean all into the princess theme and do
Yeah.
a princess theme paddle? And she was really instrumental because she's got a very creative mind. So she came up with all of our designs. So she's basically our
Oh, wow.
designer, the concept designer. So she put a bunch of designs down on paper, and then we had to find an artist that we loved. And we went through 2 or 3 different artists, because you really have to, that's like a marriage. They need to be able to see into your thought process and what you're trying
Yeah.
to achieve, and then be able to turn that into something that's stunning. And I think we found that with our artist. She's amazing. She has taken what we gave her and just turned it into something stunning with all of the paddles that we've designed. So
Yeah.
it took a little while to get it all to fall into place and to get that first paddle launched. Our first paddle we launched was the Ferris paddle, which is
Right.
this one right here. And we launched that one in August of 2024. And right after that,
Okay.
we launched the next 2, which is the Stroke of Midnight and the Sleeping Rose. And we're getting ready to launch our 4th, which is already up there. So that's kind of like a preview for the ones who can see.
Yeah.
They're getting a sneak peek because no one's really seen the design yet. So, and that one's called
Oh, very cool.
Enchanté. So that's got a French theme. So yeah.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's, and the unboxing, which I filmed, which will be in the review, is in the review, is that is an experience, and I really appreciate a buying experience. There's a few companies that are out there doing it, and you're definitely at the top. I mean, when you open the packaging and you see just the packaging itself, um, it's spectacular. You can tell a lot of thought went into this, and I think what you touched upon is very important because people look at some of the businesses and brands that are out there, and they're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I do that? They don't have no idea the process it takes. Like you mentioned, going through different artists, and first you got to have designs, and then you got to find artists that can actually create those designs in your vision. I don't think folks have any idea at some level what it takes to get something like this off the ground. And the amount of paddles that you put out in really about 8 months, 6 to 8 months,
Yeah.
is impressive. Because
Thank you.
putting one paddle out is one deal. And I don't know if folks know this, and you can see in the review and stuff like this, but each paddle, the side is different. Like, there's not just like, oh, it's one and then we just recopy. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
There is some thought. I mean, if you look at the grips, you look at the right around the neck, anything. It's very detailed, and it is definitely a buying experience. And obviously, you have accessories that highlight and kind of enhance the experience of becoming part of the Pretty Pickleball Company. So talk about sort of the culture you built. It's not just paddles.
Right. So we also have, we call them the pickleball fan packs, where it's
Mhm.
kind of like a complete matching gift set. And it has the sling backpack. It holds up to 3 or 4 paddles in there. It's really much bigger than it looks when you kind of just see it online, because it really expands out there. And it could be worn as a crossbody, a traditional backpack, or as a sling. And then it's embroidered with I call it the Pickleball Love logo, with the little LOV, with the O being a pickleball. And then we have a matching adjustable visor that goes with that set, embroidered sports microfiber sports towel, and then a double insulated water bottle that keeps your drink while you're out there on the court cold for hours. And then we included 3 matching pickleballs, outdoor pickleballs, and a scrunchie for ladies who have long hair that matches the whole set. So for women who are looking for really feminine products and matching, I had a hard time finding that. So I'm like, why can't I find a water bottle that matches my bag? So
Right.
I kind of felt compelled to create all of these things. Eventually, we have so many different ideas And we want to take our designs on our paddles and incorporate that into accessories and different things as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's definitely a lot more to come. We're also going to be launching another collection later this year, and that
Oh,
is
wow.
going to be a villains-based collection. So
Oh,
they're going to be darker, and I can't
yeah.
wait. The designs on those are just beautiful. So we'll have two collections by the end of the year out. So we're really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. You've picked an idea and you've picked a theme that you can expand and have, shoot off other themes from there. It's sort of endless, which is fantastic. I mean, obviously, you know what you've created so far is, like I said, impressive. And then you add the villains to it. Um, and I think that's what I enjoy is like this sport. We're sort of on that precipice where you can either choose a route that you can keep it fun and you can keep it exciting with what you're doing, um, or it can get ultra serious for folks too. We kind of take ourselves a little too seriously. We forget that at the end of the day it's a wiffle ball game. So that's what I appreciate about companies like yours, because those are the ones I actually seek out. I talk endlessly about what Bread and Butter does, and there's another company, Valhalla Pickleball, that's done some really cool things. What you're doing, and I like to see that because you have a choice. You can either go the pro route and try and get people signed, and that's a whole other world, and a whole bunch of money, or you could go the really cool culture building route, the buying experience, being part of a brand route, which a lot of folks that I gravitate towards are starting to create. And so I appreciate what you're doing. What are you excited about? Obviously, the villain thing is a big thing coming up, but
Mhm.
look in your crystal ball, pun intended. Where do you see this going? Because this sport is still exploding, and I think we're still just on the tip of a lot of things.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that pickleball has so much more growth potential.
Mhm.
Um, what our hope for the brand is to help make a really awesome community of people who love whimsical things and bring them in to pickleball. A lot of them have never played before. So a lot of the marketing we do is to runners or
Yeah,
or just theme park people who love theme parks and all things princesses and theme parky, because
yeah,
we want to bring them into the sport. So we wanted to create, it was important for us to create a paddle that played really nice and look
right,
really good. We had the
right.
option to do, a cheaper type of paddle that would be more of an intro paddle, but we wanted something that they could grow with, and they're going to invest into a nice paddle and come in. And one of the things we're offering right now is for players who've never played, we're actually giving them a free gear set with
Ah,
purchase of their paddle. So they can get
yeah.
everything they need, especially if they're coming into the sport for the first time, for just the price of the paddle. And we're shipping them a
There we
gear
go.
set for free. So if any of your followers want to take us up on that offer, they just need to use code free gear at checkout
Got
on
it.
our website. So, but we're
Awesome. Yeah, and that's
excited.
great because that's an ambassadorship. Yeah, you're being an ambassador to the game. You're not just thinking about, obviously you want your brand to succeed, but you're pulling in other people from different walks of life. And that also will just keep adding to the creative fuel. Some of these people will create things that some of us haven't even thought about. So I appreciate people that want to bring more people into the fold, and you're definitely doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's all about empowering and growing the sport, and for a lot of women, especially like I said earlier, I didn't see myself as super athletic, but this is
Mhm.
something I had a whole lot of fun playing, and it is very addictive. So I want to share that with as many women who, they might not feel like they can get out there and, be active or do something that's fun, but there's really such a beautiful community within pickleball that you can make so many friends. So it's not only a physical thing, but it's, emotional, it's mental. So you build friend groups, and and just really strong communities within the pickleball community. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head there as we wind up, that the community is what this is about. And really, when you have a solid community behind you, in a way, it kind of helps. It helps everything in your own life. It helps your self-esteem and your confidence, like things that we've mentioned, and enjoyment of something that, it's a simple game, but yet I think it's larger than we kind of give it credit for sometimes, because it is bringing us a lot of people together, and it is creating a lot of cool companies, cool brands, and bringing out creativity in folks, whether that's what they're wearing on the court or how they play the game in general. So I appreciate your time, Karen. All the links, obviously, in the description, discount codes, you name it. Get that deal where you can get everybody involved in the game, maybe folks who haven't played, and become an ambassador yourself. Anything else before we let you go, Karen?
no, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on the show with you today and for you highlighting your brand.
Absolutely. Karen Teft from the Pretty Pickleball Company. Check out all the links in the description and get out there and pickle and look good doing it. Thanks, Karen.
Take care.